Hello, I'm called Victor Sande Serunjoji. I'm a pastor by calling, and I'm a business person and an administrator by profession. But I'm so grateful that I've got this opportunity to share this video with you. It has been in my mind for some good time. But I want to share my views on what I can see that is going on in the world, and that is majorly what is happening in the US. I am married to one woman, that's Alyssa Cooper Joy. And in this picture, this is my wife. That's my beautiful wife with my two kids. That is Caleb and Vanea. Though we have three kids, but those two guys have been here for a while. Caleb is 7 years, turning 8 this year. And Vanea is 5 years, turning 6 this year. My wife is an American coming from Clarion in Pennsylvania. That's near Pittsburgh City. Our third boy is Gabriel, and this is Gabriel. This is Gabriel, if you don't mind. Well, you can't really see him properly, but that's Gabby. That's my Gabby. He's just 1 year right now. But there's something that I wanted to share with what is happening right now. My kids are in the US. They're with their mom, or they're doing something. Though I'm in Africa trying to accomplish, overseeing one of the organizations that we have that is trying to help kids. And of course, I'm a pastor running a church, and quite busy people. But of course, I'm worried about the gun shootings in the US. My kids are in school, Caleb and Vanea. Caleb is in grade 2, Vanea is in kindergarten, and they are in Clarion Limestone. Very good school. But with the gun shootings going on in the US, man, I'm worried a little bit about the future of my kids and the future of all the kids in the US. Being a father, I'm worried about that. Well, sometimes when I'm there, I'm worried about, of course, being an African, and I'm considered an African American down there. Though initially I'm not an African American, I'm basically an African. But of course, many reasons. People being shot and things like that. But in this particular video, I'm just worried about the shootings happening in schools on the innocent kids in the USA. And this one has nothing to do with a political game, a political problem. This is a social challenge affecting both whites and Africans, Asians, and whoever is in the US. And one of the things I've trained my mind for the last 20 years is not to be among the complaining people, not to be among the lamenting people, not to be among the condemning people, not to be among the people that are judging. I want to be among people that bring solutions, that bring issues, that can settle out issues. Because I've come to realize that life normally has people that complain, that people that argue, people that condemn, people that judge. But the world is waiting for solutions. And this is a social problem that we cannot just overlook, that we cannot just keep blaming the government of the US, blaming this and the other. I think in my personal research, we basically have 4 culprits in this matter. We have 4 institutions that are entangled in this issue. The solutions should come when they're trying to cover up the 4 institutions. And if the 4 institutions are not handled, if the 4 institutions are not tackled well, then this problem is yet to linger for many generations. And we're yet to see many lives going down the grave innocently when they have done nothing. And I want to place a piece of my knowledge, a piece of my advice to this growing monster in our society. Our kids cannot keep losing lives. Our police officers, the sheriffs and whoever, they can't keep losing lives when we can come up with a solution. I am not officially an American, but I'm grateful to the US country because it has been part of bringing solutions to many social, political challenges of human nature. Primarily, there are people that I love in my life because of their solutions in history to humanity. I love one man called George Washington. He's one of my heroes in the history of the US and the history of the world. He him and the team, they stood against the monster of evil at that time. They stood against the monster of corruption and confusion. And that was the monarchical rule and the monarchical systems that were burying and killing and, confusing everything in the name of divinity. I mean, God created us to be like this. We are the royals and whatsoever. Those guys stood and said, no! And George Washington shall always be my hero. I mean, there were flaws in his life. He didn't tackle slavery and all that, but he did something. They did something. Today, the world is enjoying democracy. Many people in the world talk about democracy. They fight for their freedom, basing on that original ideology that George Washington and the team kick-started. And wherever they are, God bless them. The other person I love is Abraham Lincoln. I mean, he stood against and said slavery. I know he died a sudden death, a confused death that truth has never come out. But I know he must have been murdered because he fought against slavery. But we thank God for him. He stood at a time when no one would believe that someone can stand against slavery and said, this is the end. People should be free. If we're all created in the image of God and we are equal human beings, even a man and a woman with a black skin should be respected, should be valued. Such a man I love and respect. What can I talk about Martin Luther King Jr.? He died almost the same way like Martin Luther. He died the same way like Abraham Lincoln. The way they died is unexplainable, you can never tell. But they were fighting for the good cause. Fighting for humanity to be equal and be valued. They wanted people to be judged by their natural potential. Not by their color, not by their ethnicity, not by their background, but the potential that they have at that particular point of life when you meet them. Not by how they look like, not by their history, but by their potential and ability at a time. I will love this man and I will love him. He did a great job. Martin Luther King Jr., Abraham Lincoln, you are my heroes. You guys, you are my heroes. You did something for humanity. I will live to celebrate you. I will live to tell my children and my grandchildren about you. You did a good job. You deserve a clap of hands. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, there are many other guys in history who did something that is great. I can't forget my Savior, our Lord Jesus Christ, who stood against sin. That today, if you're troubled with sin, we have hope. We have Jesus. He stood, gave in his life and fought against sin. There is hope to overcome all the shackles of sin, all these shackles of demonic activities. Jesus came and stood for us. He's my hero. Spiritually, Jesus Christ is my hero. Glory to God. But back to the point here about this social challenge we are having right now in the US of gun issues and our kids dying in schools. I mean, I'll first talk about that and all the other challenges we have. But of course, we have seen shootings in churches, we've seen shootings on the street. But basically, I would want to concentrate on schools and maybe somewhere, somehow in between, bring about something to do with public places. And when we talk about public places, we have schools, we have universities, we have churches, we have mosques, we have government offices, places where you cannot control whoever comes to visit that place. We have hospitals. Those are all public places where anyone can jump in anytime. That person might be a foreigner, that person might be a tourist, that person might whoever. Those are what we call public places. And with all the shootings going on, I would love that we try to look at these 4 institutions. That is home. Home is a big player in this matter. He's a stakeholder. Home is an institution. And we mean home, that is a place where people go to rest. And that is a place where you have parents and children, where you have someone, whatever you call home. But in this context, I want to look at home in the essence where you have a father, a mother, and children. Or where you have a guardian and children. Or you have a parent. It may be a single parent, but that place called home, which is current, as we talk right now, we're looking at a place where you have children and elders whom you can call parents or guardians. We have schools. It's another institution. This is a second stakeholder in the name of institution called a school. We have the government, the U.S. government, both the state and the federal. And then we have the gun manufacturing companies or institutions. Remember, 4 stakeholders in this matter have a role to play. Each of them has a role to play. We have the home, we have schools, we have government, we have the gun manufacturing institutions. These are 4 stakeholders. They all have a role to play in this matter if we're going to see a concrete solution to gun shooting in schools. Remember, this is not a political game. This is not a democratic republic issue. It is a social issue which affects all of us. You can never know when your kids will be shot. You can never know when your kids will meet some stranger who's going to shoot their heads off. You can never tell. We can never tell who will walk into a school and shoot everyone. It will not be a black person. It will not be a white person. It will not be a red person, whatever color. Anyone, since we cannot tell, of course, in life we all live trying to deal with uncertainties. This is an uncertain occasion that can happen in any school. You may say, well, those things happen down there, up there, in the other corner. But you can never tell when this will come to your state, when this will come to your home area, when this will come to your school district. It can happen anytime, because these guys, whom we hope could be just troubled in a particular state of their life or somewhere they lived in life. I mean, they walk in and they want to open and, pour all their frustration and anger upon innocent people that have done nothing. But we can come up with solutions. That's what I want to do right now. This is what I think. And I will begin with the institution called home. This is my prayer, that whoever is a parent, a guardian, you need to stand up on your toes and do something. I think we can all see that most of the kids doing this come from a troubled background. Somewhere, their life is broken. They have anger, they have frustration. And I want to tell my generation, I know my generation will all think about fun and, I want to have my fun, I want to enjoy my fun. Let me tell you, my generation, we should grow up, we should style up. Life is not all about fun. Life is about sacrificing for the next generation. Life is all about sacrificing for the next future. And if we are looking at not sacrificing for the next future, we are not doing anything helping humanity. We are not contributing anything to this generation. We need to do something in the name of sacrificing for the next generation. And the best thing that we can do to sacrifice for the next generation is to be in the lives of our children, is to be in the lives of our wives, is to be in the lives of our husbands. Let's be in the lives of the people in our homes. I love money. Trust me, I love money. But I'm telling you, if we're only going to look for money, we're only going to mind about our jobs, mind about our friends, then we should not have children. We should not marry. We should not get married, whatsoever you call it. But if we want to raise children that are sensible, that are valued, that have that high self-esteem, let us try to cut our ego for money, our desire for money and popularity and fancy things. Let us go back to our homes and care for our children. The number one institution is home, is family. 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 Let us care for our children. I mean, when in this gun issue, I believe we need to come back in the lives of our children and give the right values and the right things that our children can be able to recount, be able to capture, be able to understand, and be able to value in life. This business of progressiveness, we are coming up with stupid, confusing ideas. They're not going to help our children. Let our children go back to know the values of love, the values of caring, the values of sharing, the values of togetherness. Those are what they need to care about. I'm so grateful whoever came up with children's rights. But if they're not pushing love, togetherness, caring, sharing, sacrifice, then they're as good as useless. If all they're doing is to raise pride, anger, arrogance, disrespect in a family, they're as good as rubbish. They are good to be burnt. Let's come back with values that are going to help our children not to be rebellious, not to be angry, not to be revengeful, where they have to show vengeance all the time. Let our children love values of love, values of forgiving, values of togetherness, values of sharing, values of sacrificing for the next generation, sacrificing for the future. Those are the values we need to teach our children. Not values where our children have to be rebellious, have to be angry in the name of defending their rights, defending, their human rights and all that. These things are not helping us. Some of these things are killing the future. We need to revise what we're teaching our children. Are we driving them to have hearts of love, hearts of forgiveness, hearts of tolerance, hearts of togetherness, hearts of sharing, hearts of sacrifice? Are we driving our children in the home to such a destination? If we're not doing that, we are doing a disservice to our children. We are burying our children. We are burying the future of our children. We are only driving them to be angry, to be corrupt, to be greedy, and to love chaos and confusion. And this is going only to happen if we're in the lives of our children. If we're not in the lives of our children, we are doing them a disservice. It doesn't matter how much money you accumulate in this life. It doesn't matter how much fame you accumulate in this life. If you leave nothing, if you leave no family, if you leave no children to stand and defend the money you have achieved, the fame you have achieved, you have done nothing to humanity. You have done a great disservice that can never be remembered. Can we be in the lives of our children? Can we teach our children the right values? Can we try to teach our children the demerits of guns? As we teach them to love guns, let us not teach them chaos and violence. Sometimes I feel bad today. When you look at the video games, if you look at the movies, they are all teaching violence to our children. We need to stand against these violent movies, which have murders, sexual evils, sins, alcohol, cars knocking. That's not what our children should be exposed to. Our children should not be exposed to such video games where people are cutting each other with knives and forks and, we shouldn't expose our children to violence. That is not what our children need to learn. Family heads, fathers, stand up. Fathers, stand up. We need to stand up against this confusion. This violence being sold to our children through video games, through movies. We need to stand against it and say, no! Our children should not be exposed to violence. They shouldn't take killing to be normal. They shouldn't take killing to be fine. They shouldn't take having sex anywhere, anytime to be fine. They should know that sex is reserved for marriage. They should know that violence, killing, shootings is evil and not acceptable in society. And it is me and you, my fellow men, the fathers, the heads of families, to stand and teach these little guys, and tell them, guys, killing is not good. Shooting is not good. We should be able to stand and tell our wives and say, come on, we need to be serious and responsible in the lives of such little guys. Come on, we cannot just accept this rubbish, destroying the future of our children. We need to stand on our toes and say no to violence, No to shootings. No to having guns anytime. I hope you're listening. Thank you. More to that, let us try to keep our guns in safe boxes and safe rooms. Let us have these guns in boxes that children cannot easily open. If possible, I believe the US has been behind a lot of manufacturing, a lot of coming up with new things, new ideas, a lot of invasions. The US has been behind a lot of invasions. Let us have safe boxes, that have codes to open them. And let us keep our guns there so that our children cannot access them at any time. Safe boxes, safe gun boxes that could be opened with a code, that could be opened with keys, so that our kids cannot easily access guns. And this can be done at a home level. This is not a government thing, this is a home thing. Or have a room that is lockable and keys kept with you, the father, the mother of the house. So that these keys cannot be accessed, and let it be a safe room where guns are kept and they are only accessed by adults. I hope if we try to come up with some of these measures, we can try to limit the gun shootings which are done by children in schools. At the same time, I believe social scientists can come up with what we can call maybe safe gun policies in homes. Children should be taught the demerits of having guns, and they should know the evils attached to having guns and killing people. Let them know that if you kill people, you're going to be put to prison the rest of your life. So the children can grow up knowing that there are legalities attached to guns. If you just misuse it, you have buried all your life. And in a home, let us be able to report any signs of a violent child to police and psychosocial service centers where kids can go and be counseled and be brought back to book, to know. Because some of these kids, they get violent, they get angry because of different things. When you, the father and the mother, me, father, you, mother, if we don't try to straighten our issues and we think separation, divorce are one ways where we want to prove our authority, we want to prove our rights, we want to prove that we're also men, we're also human. If that is what we think about, we should not produce children, because we are doing a disservice to these kids. Most of the kids, when their fathers separate, when their mothers and fathers separate, when a divorce happens, these kids run into what we call a psychosocial confusion. And eventually they become angry, they become jealous, they become confused. And the result is reaction of anger. They'll begin abusing, they'll begin fighting, they'll go into drugs, and eventually they'll begin killing people. Can we try to sort out our misunderstandings? Can we try to cut our ego down, chop our ego, and try to sacrifice whatever we can for the future of the children that we have brought up in the world? These little guys are innocent. They never applied for you to be their father. They never applied for you to be their mother. Can you do something to safeguard their future? Separations and divorce are not solutions to our infightings, to our misunderstandings. Can we learn to forgive and avoid divorce and separations for the sake of such little souls that do not apply to come in the life of you, the confused father, of you, the confused mother, of you, the drug addicts? They do not apply. Cut your ego for the sake of these little guys. Do something. You can do something. But when you realize maybe your child has psychosocial issues, let us run to the psychosocial service centers if there is any. And these are things that the churches can initiate. Churches have been behind all social transformation in the world. Have psychosocial service centers and bring these kids and, help them to recoup with life. Kids that have separated parents, divorced parents, we can bring them back to normal by giving them counseling, showing them that they are still valued, there is still hope, they can still be human beings and responsible people once again. As we try to be in the lives of the children. My point in families, in homes is, can we be in the lives of our children? Can we try to solve our misunderstandings from the bedroom? If father and mother have misunderstanding, can you please go to the bedroom and sort out your issues? Can you go in the basement and sort out your issues? Can you remember that you can sacrifice, you can give in your life and be in that marriage and raise your children? Don't try to look for, as long as I don't feel happy, I don't have the fun I wanted to have. I'm walking out, I'm getting out, I'm kicking him out, I'm kicking her out. That is not what we're created to do. Life is about sacrifice. Can we sacrifice for the future? Can we live in that marriage and defend the future of our children? Be there, my brother, my sister. Be there, my brother, my sister, for the life of those little guys. How beautiful it is if you grow up in your old age with gray hair and have people that celebrate you and say, I'm proud of my mother, I'm proud of my dad. He stood in and did something for me. Who do you think is going to remember all the fun you have had in this world? Who is going to remember all the times you spent on beaches, all the times you spent watching movies, all the times you spent in bars drinking your head off? Who's going to remember all that nonsense and that garbage and that rubbish? No soul shall remember you for the many times you spent on beaches, for the many times you spent in hotels, for the many times you spent watching movies, for the many times you spent on outings and with your friends, with your buddies, and having fun and dancing and drinking. Who's going to remember all that nonsense? Let me tell you, it is only your children that shall remember the sacrifice you made to give them a good future. Society is going to remember you by what you sacrificed to humanity, not the many times you spent on beaches and in bars drinking and dancing and yapping and jumping. Nobody is going to remember that. We cannot remember you for doing that. We shall only remember you by the sacrifices you brought in this world for the sake of humanity. And the best humanity you can sacrifice for is your children, my brother, my sister. Do something. Do something. If we're going to reduce this gun issue, we need to do something in our families. We need to be there for our children. We need to be there for our families. We need to be standing right. Fathers, mothers, stand for your children. Defend your children. Sacrifice for your children. Teach them the values that drive them to love, that drive them to tolerance, that drive them to forgiveness, that drive them to togetherness, to sharing, and to sacrifice. It's not about violence. Cut your ego. Let's cut our ego. Let's learn to give a second chance. I know marriage can have issues. Marriage can be troubled at one time. But can you learn to forgive? Can your children learn from you to forgive? That you forgave their mother, that you forgave their father. Can they learn from you? That people can be given a second chance. This business of pouncing, this business of having all punitive measures, of trying to prove that I was right, I am the one, it's not going to help us, buddy. It's going to help us. We're going to raise more children that are going to shoot people. We're going to raise children that are going to shoot people because we think we want to prove our point. We want to prove that we are the best, we're the right guys. Let's stand for our families. Others, I love you. This is my first part about gun control. And let's start with the families. We shall begin with that. And the life of the US and the rest of the world will never be the same again. Remember, the US is a measuring rod for very many things in this world. The world is looking up to the US for changes, for solutions and hope. We can do something. I love you and I believe you have got it. Let's stand for our families. Let's be there. Teach our children as much as we can for the sake of the future. I believe in one thing, that I'm here for change. I was born to cause a change. I wasn't born only to enjoy and have fun. I was born to cause a change. I love you. I love the US. In God, we trust. In God, I trust. God bless you. Thank you. This is our first part about gun control, and my emphasis was on family, on homes, as the first institution that can cause a change by doing its responsibility. I love you. God bless you.